What's up, core nerds? Time to get served. It's your boy Phil. Happy Easter, everybody. Have a safe and happy holiday. I'll see you guys soon, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. See you later, nerds.
But I don't think there's, I mean, he showed up for another court and then just didn't want to go to court anymore. And I have spoken to him previously, but he's in the general population, so I didn't think there's any issues. So, and currently the offer doesn't get him out till next week, as it is anyway. So we can set it next week.
We'll set this over till Tuesday then. Probable cause was previously found on January 4th, and bill remains $500.
This is Miss Jessica Wetstein, 3A03333996. Also, it's muted. We are asking to have her evaluated under 1077 based on the conversation I had with her. I saw that she'd been evaluated a little while ago and found competent, but based on my conversation today, I believe it's necessary. An officer, it's still muted. I'm not sure.
Ms. Wetstein, there you go, Ms. Wetstein. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Freund. Oh, what a fascinating name.
Oh, thank you. And you pronounced it correctly.
Yeah. I've not ever spoken on one of these video conferences ever, believe it or not.
Well, today's a day for firsts.
Yeah, hello, good morning. Well, first I want to say you don't have to stress. Good morning, Prosecutor Chen. It looks as, are you have Mandarin family maybe? Chen? She's smiling. She's smiling.
Okay, first of all, I do find probable cause to detain.
Good morning, sir. We spoke yesterday, or this morning? No, the score two.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm one of the public defenders. My name is David.
Oh, hello. Good morning. Good morning. Hello.
And is the city seeking bail?
I don't have any money. I just want to talk about the situation because this is to do with September.
So we're not going to talk about the facts of the case because today is not a fact-finding hearing. It's just a hearing, really a procedural hearing where the city is sort of saying officially what they're accusing you of.
I'm looking forward to communicating with you. I want to say, I don't want to interrupt you. I'm just saying I'm thankful to communicate because I wish it had occurred to me sooner. The Port Authority of Seattle would be relevant because I was concerned about the September 11th incident. However, there were a lot of concurrent similar incidences that I thought were from ham radio interference.
I need to ask the prosecutor a question. Ms. Chenweller, is the city seeking bail?
But he does have concerns regarding defensibility to reappear. However, I don't see any history at this point as far as a basis to request bail or bond.
Yeah, it's complicated because my mother was Grace Kelly. She was murdered when I was born, and they gave me a false name. And so it's complicated. I say things perhaps praying that could seem confusing if it's possible that, I don't know if there's some sort of a thing that detects my prayer.
I'm going to set this over then to June 6th as a return date at 8:30 in the morning in person in SeaTac Municipal Court. Mr. Ainati, are you seeking direct appointment?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I will direct appoint. Ma'am, you'll be released on this case today, but you need to stay in contact with Mr. Ainati's office. Someone's going to come talk to you, and they're going to set up an appointment for that evaluation, okay? So you'll need to know when that's happening.
Yeah, I love it because that's a lot of what it is. If it's possible to communicate, is the what is it called? It's overwhelmingly optimizing. Because that's exactly the problem with the hams. It's impossible to communicate. The hams.
Before that happens, you cannot go back to the airport.
No, okay? I'm not worried about any of it. I was completely compliant. No,
Okay, no going to the airport, the rental car facility, and no new criminal law violation.
I don't have money or anything, so I really can't do anything anyway. had a passport, but as I understand it, that's a false name anyway.
So as I said, June 6th at 8:30 in the morning will be your next hearing, and you'll need to come physically to SeaTac Municipal Court for that hearing, okay?
All right.
8:30 in the morning.
Maybe I can get a document so I can make note of it.
Or we'll give you a copy of the order.
Okay. Good.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
The DCF appears by and through Mr. Getz. Mr. Seward appears in person and pro se. Ms. Bobbitt also appears in person and pro se. We were last here actually some time ago on July 22nd. I think there were concerns at that point regarding service. I see that personal service was obtained on January 23 of 2023. And subsequent to that, there has been no answer filed or other responsive pleading filed in the case. I believe the original petition for support, which was filed in August of 2021, sought support in the amount of $333 a month to be effective September 1 of 2021, and that the matters otherwise are in line with what I had explained about recent service, and no answer yet appearing in the file. Counsel, is there anything else that you wanted to add from the DCF perspective at this time?
No, Judge, no answer after residential service. Default is appropriate. We are asking $333 a month. The big one then would be a judgment in favor of mother, $6,660. That's $333 a month for the 20 months this case was pending. And then we would ask for her to carry health insurance and claim the minor child every year for taxes.
All right. Mr. Seward, what's your perspective on the proposed finding of the court, the idea being that by virtue of default, I should make orders in line with what the DCF had originally sought in the case?
That child is not mine, actually. But I'm not home very often, so I never really got the paperwork to be able to file a motion to be able to go against it, because it said I had 21 days to petition. By the time I got it, it was past the 21 days.
Well, I'm showing, I thought that you had, let's see. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, and when I say you're right, I mean it was residential rather than personal service to you directly. Ms. Bobbitt, what is your position on the best way forward on the case at this time?
Honestly, I don't really care about the money. I do know that the child is not his. If he signs his rights over, I'm good to call it done.
Okay, so this is where I get involved, Judge, and bring the law into play. He is named on the child's birth certificate. The child is over 1 year old. The time for him to petition the court to remove his name from the birth certificate expired after 1 year. And as far as signing his rights away, that's not something that's possible unless there's some other gentleman who's going to step in and act as the father through a step-parent adoption.
Actually, my boyfriend has actually been the one that she calls dad. He's the one that's been helping me take care of her for the past 2.5 years or so.
So not really relevant. Again, he's named on the birth certificate. He is the legal father by statute. So I again ask for $333 a month in judgment.
So there's nothing I can do, even though I'm literally not her father.
Well, I think that the challenge, as the DCF attorney explains it, has to do with the statutory frameworks and the time that has run. And so I think that the position of DCF is that indeed they believe they've made their case and that I should make this finding. Is there anything more you wanted to say, Mr. Seward?
No, I guess just fuck me.
Well, I would appreciate it. And I know it's emotional day and circumstances that aren't what you were hoping to hear, but I need you to use, even on a Zoom call, appropriate language for court. And I admonish you, please, to do that as we go forward. Mr. Seward, I don't know that there is anything that would move me to consider going forward in any ways different than what the DCF is proposing. But in as much as you explained that you had some inability to file an answer by virtue of having gotten the notice actually in hand after the time to file had run, I will continue this case one time to give you an opportunity to file any answer or responsive pleading or motion to file out of time with the accompanying pleading to further make any things known that you wish to make known. But I do want to wrap this up, hopefully at the time of our next hearing. And I will give you some time to do that. I will set this over to May the 12th, 2023 at 2:00 p.m. And you need to have filed a motion seeking to respond out of time and any motion that you think the court should consider by that time. And from there, I will intend to make rulings, and I am not setting aside the prospect that I might find, just as DCF has asked me to today, that by default and with the factors that have been discussed, you should be found responsible under the terms and conditions that have been outlined. So I'll give you that chance if there's something you think is relevant to further plead in the case, and we'll reconvene on that May 12th date at 2:00. Are we on the same page on that, sir?
Sure. You said May 12th at 2:00?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. And Miss Bobbitt, does that date and time work for you, ma'am?
Yeah.
All right. Look forward to seeing you both back here then, and you'll be able to use the same meeting ID and passcode that you used today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Miss Pam, do we have anyone else who's yet called in?
I don't have anyone yet, no.
Okay. Well, I'll go off camera and off mic and listen for the next person. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Vogt?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll go on the record in State of Kansas versus Kenneth Leon Vogt Jr. Case number 23 CR 184. State appears by Assistant County Attorney Jared Regier. Mr. Vogt appears in person in custody at the Butler County Jail. All parties are appearing by Zoom. Mr. Vogt, you're here for first appearance. Have you received a copy of your charges?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I'll go over those with you. Excuse me. There's just one count that alleges that on or about the 2nd day of April through the 5th day of April, 2023 in Butler County, Kansas, you did there unlawfully and knowingly damage, destroy, deface, or substantially impair the use of any property. That property being doors and windows of a red 2018 Ford F-150 truck in which another person, that person being Alan Fitzgerald, had an interest without the consent of said person. Said damage being a total value of at least $1,000, but less than $25,000. That's criminal damage to property, a level 9 non-person felony. Do you understand your charge, Mr. Vogt?
Yes, I do.
All right, since it's a felony count, you won't be asked to enter a plea today. Your case has been assigned to Judge Satterfield. Sent this on her felony preliminary hearing control docket on May the 15th.
That actually would be
2:30 p.m. May 15th, 2:30 p.m. That will be by Zoom in front of Judge Satterfield.
Your Honor, can you get me an OR bond?
Well, we'll discuss bond here in a second. Do you have the financial resources to hire your own attorney?
I don't. I don't want an attorney.
I'm sorry?
I don't want an attorney. I'm just going to plead guilty to it.
Well, since this is a felony charge, you're going to need to, I'm not going to entertain you entering a guilty plea at this time. I'd like to have you have the assistance of counsel. If you can't afford counsel, I'll appoint an attorney to represent you.
Yeah, I don't need one. I'm just going to plead guilty.
Well, Mr. Vogt, let me explain something to you. On a level 9, non-person felony, depending on what your prior criminal history is, I know you have some prior criminal history.
Yeah.
You could be sentenced from anywhere between 5 months and 17 months in prison.
Yeah.
You understand that?
Yep.
If you have prior theft convictions in your criminal history, there could be a special rule that could make this a presumptive prison case where you'd be sent to prison. Do you understand that? So I think you'd really want to have an attorney to advise you before you enter into a plea.
I'll take an attorney.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I'm going to take an attorney then.
All right. I'm going to appoint James Watts to represent.
No, can I have another one? Got a conflict of interest right now.
With another case?
Yeah.
Mr. Regier, do you have any knowledge of Mr. Watts having a possible conflict? I know Mr. Vogt has had other cases. I don't know what he's had recently.
Yeah, I just I had him on a case here a while back, and I didn't like his the way he operated. So if I could have another attorney, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Well, Mr. Vogt, Mr. Watts has a contract with the county to take appointments on felonies.
Yeah, so does other attorney, don't he?
Well, he takes the cases. If he has a conflict, then there's other attorneys that will take cases, but they initially have to go through him unless I'm aware of a legal conflict, such as him representing a co-defendant or an alleged victim in the case. Are you aware of any such legal conflict?
I think he might be.
Mr. Vogt, let me address Mr. Regier. Mr. Regier, are you aware of any sort of a conflict of that nature that would prevent Mr. Watts from being able to take this case?
Well, I think Mr. Watts is defending his brother right now in the case, Jimmy Gage.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
I don't know anything about any conflicts per se. I do show that this defendant has another open case, 22 CR 222. It looks like that was quite recently before the court back in, I guess it would have been in less than a month ago. And it looks like it would have been before Judge Rickey. Defendant appeared at the Sally Port and Mr. Watts was the appointed counsel in that case.
All right. Mr. Vogt, I'm going to go ahead and appoint James Watts. If he thinks there's a conflict, he can raise that with the court.
All right.
All right, we've got a new court date. We've got an attorney appointed. What's your recommendation for bond, Mr. McGee?
Your Honor, the state's recommendation would be $2,500 professional surety. State would also further suggest that as special conditions of the bond, the defendant shall have no contact with the victim or the property. Looking at the KSAR in this case, it looks like this defendant is homeless, at least according to this report.
I got
Mr. Vogt, you'll have an opportunity to address the court.
Good.
Let him finish.
Also, it looks like this defendant has at least one prior conviction for a probation violation. As such, the state does consider this defendant to be a flight risk.
All right, thank you, Mr. Regier. Mr. Vogt, do you still live in Augusta?
No, I live here in right at the Sky Palace Hotel.
Okay, so at which hotel?
The Sky Palace.
All right, and how long have you been in El Dorado now?
I've been a month.
Okay. I'll set bond in the amount. Do you have anything else you'd like to say regarding bond, Mr. Vogt?
Yeah, I'd like to get no all bonds. I've always been on time to my court dates. I haven't never missed court. I think I'm a fine candidate for a no all bond. I got no means of transportation to run out of state.
Is he in good standing on his bond in the other case, to your knowledge, Mr. Regier?
Your Honor, it looks like in the other case, the most recent hearing was a sentencing hearing. As far as the allegation by the defendant, he is, quote, always on time. My notes from that hearing suggest that the defendant, while he did appear at that hearing by the Sally Port, it looks like he was late.
But other than that, any history you can think of non-appearance for court?
Forgive me, Your Honor, if I may have about 20 seconds.
You may.
Your Honor, it doesn't look like, other than the probation violation, the defendant has any priors on that as far as any failures to appear are concerned. It looks like that the court had ordered a previous bond in the other case in the amount of $3,500 cash or surety. I'm not showing any failures to appear in that particular matter, but again, weighing all the other factors, which I've already iterated for the benefit of the court, the state does consider this defendant to be a quite significant flight risk.
I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500 OR.
Did you give me an all bond?
I did, in the amount of $2,500. All right, anything else on Mr. Vogt's case?
Your Honor, I'm assuming that's with no contact with the victim or the property?
That is correct. Mr. Vogt, you're not to have any contact with Alan Fitzgerald or his property.
Yeah, I got no intent on it.
All right. There's nothing further. We'll be in recess. Mr. Vogt, you are excused.
Hey, you did my OR1, right? Yeah. Yeah, is there any way you can call them and make sure they do everything?
All right, Mr. Fickle.
Numbers 16, 17, and 18, People versus Ebony Griffin, 051092FH, 051845FH, 989960FH.
Good afternoon. Yes, Jonathan Evans on behalf of the People.
Ma'am, tell us your record.
Ebony Griffin.
All right, I'm going to have you raise your right hand to be sworn in.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Griffin, you filed a motion to set aside a conviction in Washtenaw County, correct?
Correct.
And so it initially looks like you might qualify, but I have some questions about some other things. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to ask Mr. Emmons a few questions, and I'm not sure how we're going to proceed today. So it looks like you were convicted, or you pled no contest to an unarmed robbery in that original case. Is that correct? Other charges alongside that were dismissed, and so it looks like
right.
Well, the application is unarmed. Well, I'm sorry, I'm looking at one of them is unarmed robbery, one of them is larceny in a building, and the other is financial transaction. So that's 3.
15 years ago. Yeah, I remember that.
Right. And so are there other charges though? I mean, you're seeking essentially setting aside in these 3 cases, but
in Washtenaw County, no, there is no other cases in Michigan.
But there are other cases in Florida, correct?
Well, I'm on probation. It happened the same time.
No, because these are from 05.
Okay, so what happened in Florida happened at the same time these happened 15 years ago. So for some strange reason, when I got these taken care of, Washtenaw County wasn't prepared to help me clear up what happened in Florida. So I had to wait 20 years to get this probation and
right.
administered, and I am about to get off of probation this month, I believe, or next month.
So, I mean, I guess one of my questions is what happened between then and now? Like if these were all pending or not, were the matters in Florida just not handled? Because
they're handled now. For some strange reason,
wouldn't have been on probation for these past 20 years. So the fact that what's happening in Florida while you were on,
they would not, Your Honor, they wouldn't come and get me. I sent letters to them and during the time that I was dealing with the original cases, letting them know that, hey, okay, I'm getting off these cases. Why don't you come and get me so we can get this taken care of, because I can't afford a plane ticket to come out there. So for years, I mean, excuse me, they would not come and get me if it wasn't worth it.
I mean, I understand that perhaps finances are important, but like literally you're saying to me because the state of Florida wouldn't come and get you.
And I couldn't afford to go to them. It was a financial situation. But they were sent writs from the county jail, letting them know my release.
Right.
Officer Profit.
I'm not doubting that Florida was sent notices, but I mean, the other way to look at that is that you've been a fugitive for these last 20 years. You have.
Yeah, I've been a political prisoner, Your Honor, because I did my part. Okay. I did my part. I sent the writ. I let them know that I'm financially challenged.
So let's talk about your aliases. How is that still?
I've only used one alias.
Well, there's about 7 listed here. So.
I don't know about the 7. That was when I was 14 years old at Showcase Cinema. One of your Pittsfield Township police officers was taking my childish jokes a little too far and putting it on paper.
Okay. So, I mean, the only thing I can sort of say to you is that I do this every week, right? And every week ask have prior conviction status. And one of the single thing that I sort of look at when I'm doing that is what's the public's interest in this. And so one of the things that this statute allows is for people that have literally kind of turned that corner and cleared everything up, they can walk away without these convictions on their record. By and large, Ms. Griffin, though, the bulk of the people that come in here have had basically 20 years of no activity with the criminal justice system. And I look at your records, and as recently as 2021, I think there's at least it looks like there's criminal activity. Now, I don't know if that's a hangover from Florida and that's just now being resolved, but I have to tell you that this is extraordinary relief the courts give people, and I would love to give this to you, but I can't do it today. So if you complete everything in Florida and you can bring me in something that shows that that is totally taken care of and there's no other issues or concerns, I will reconsider this, but I cannot grant this relief.
I don't understand why you can't. The program itself is for felonies in Michigan. It is not for felonies outside of Michigan. And this happened during the same time of these charges. It is not my fault that I wasn't able to afford to go to Florida. It's not my fault that they refused to come and get me. I don't understand why you can't. I've been a political prisoner for 20 years because of this court not being able to help me out. This happened the same exact time 15, 20 years ago. I've been a political prisoner, literally. It's my jobs, people that take advantage of the system have been coming after me. I've been around some very huge bad actors because of this. I'm not immune to crime. I mean, the crime is going to seek anyone. They're not discriminating against anyone.
I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but I'm just telling you my job is to
not
tell you
care about other people's safety.
I mean, I don't understand the political prisoner question, and I don't.
20 years, Your Honor, and I've made very good strides to get this clear up. There has been no criminal activity on my record for 20.
It doesn't appear that way, though, because it does appear that as of recently as 2021, there is criminal activity. It may be in the state of Florida, but I can't ignore that, and I don't understand what you're telling me. How could you have felonies in the state of Michigan and felonies in the state of Florida arising out of the same transaction where this has been taken care of? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense that it's the same year that they both happened. What are you talking about?
So, ma'am, I'm telling you what I'm talking about. And so my asking you questions shouldn't cause you to be upset with me. I don't know you. I have not been a judge.
I'm from Michigan. I was born in Detroit, raised in Ann Arbor, Michigan. My mother used to work for Washtenaw County on disability issues as a commissioner. Like I said, I've been a political prisoner 5 ways from Sunday.
Okay. Well, I am sorry. I cannot.
I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. They don't care.
Requested, and I'm denying your motion at this time. You are welcome to refile it after everything is cleared up for me or anyone else in Florida. I'm happy to take a look.
Sir, can you just acknowledge for the court that you acknowledge the dates of these crimes? They happen all within the same year of each other. This is 15 and 20 years out of my life. Can you at least acknowledge that you see?
I will acknowledge that your case 05-1092 05-1845 FH and 98, which is a different year.
It's 20 years ago.
9960. Those are all the Michigan cases, and those all arose during those years. I'm not a Florida judge, ma'am, so I can't certify for you that. So
do you see the dates for Florida?
We're done.
We are done. Like I said, I'm from here. You're wasting my time.
Number 45, People versus